Hey, we're going to tie a fly now for roosterfish. You know, you could probably catch GT on them. You probably catch a number of nasty fish. You probably catch all kinds of fish. But this is inspired by the kinky muddler. It's different, but it's going to use some of the similar techniques, and we're going to use a tan UV dragon tail. So let's get started. I wish I was going to Baja this year, but I still may go later. What am I doing? I don't want to start way up there. I want to start actually way back here. So this is a fly that's going to be fished pretty much on the surface. If you have seen the kinky muddler tied, it uses feathers and a little bit of bucktail. Use saddle hackles. We're going to tie this with one of these UV dragon tails. And I think I want to get it about this long. I think that's going to be plenty of wiggle. So again, some people pull those apart. I cut them and then I pinch them hard so there will be no loosening up of that material except right out there at the end. And I'm exposing the cotton core. Now I grab that core and I'm pinching it hard and I'm tying it on there. I'm not just tying the core on, and I'm back behind I will be behind the barb of the hook, and I've actually wound over the material itself. Oh wait, it's not going, it's not going anywhere. A little bit of super glue here. Now, I'm going to be using, I know I had a big old hank of it here. I'm going to be using sculpting flash fiber. Here's a big hank of it. I'm going to use some brown, and I'm also going to use some bait fish belly. But I'm also going to put on some Mangum Grizzly saddle hackles. So I'm going to put 2 on this side of the fly. Just lash them down. And I've got 2 more. So these are not the narrow Grizzly sackles. These are not the narrow Grizzly saddles we often see. I'm putting the dull side in and the shiny side out and approximately matching them up and putting these on kind of slightly tent shaped. They're going to droop. You're going to have a lot of extra wiggle, and I just kind of roughly wound over those. I don't want to cut my thread. I'm using a clear mono thread here. There we go. Now, would you have to add these Grizzly saddles? No. But I really like the way they look in the water. It's just a little bit of that appearance of movement and the physical movement of the dragon tail. Now here comes the fun part. I have some, and people tend to call these pencil diameter. I don't know what kind of pencil it would be. I'm going to start with a slightly longer piece, and I make about 2 turns over it, and then I bring it across, and I put about 2 more turns, and I'm snippet long. And I set that down. And I go under the fly. And I've got a piece of the white, or this is actually kind of a cream color. And I put kind of a longish piece on there. And I go 1, 2, and this when you're working back here, it's a little tricky because you don't want to cut your thread on that hook point. 1, 2, 1 for extra measure, and I'm going to trim this kind of long. So maybe you're getting the point by now. I go back to the top side. This is on the top of the hook. 2 turns and bring it over. I'm still on the top of the hook. 2 turns. I'm going to trim it, and that piece is not going to be useful, so I'm going to drop it in my wastebasket. Go underneath the fly. Go back to my cream belly. Keeping this on the bottom of the hook. Couple turns. Couple more turns. Oops, I did 3. Get some more. And what color is this? I don't remember. I have some. I really like it. It's mostly brown. Got a little bit of gold flash in it. And it's got some black fibers. They might call this mullet brown. I'm not sure. We'll get it figured out. And we'll get it listed. Back to the belly. Now, when people tie the kinky muddler, they will typically fill up the whole hook shank. And this is an 811S. It's a pretty long hook shank. So I am not going to fill this whole arrangement. But, and I think you'll see why. The idea is this fly is going to push some water. It's definitely going to have some wiggle to it. It's not going to imitate a specific bait fish, but so I've not actually caught a rooster fish. I had a shot last year. Does that count? My friends have, and I have watched the roosters just blasting these big plugs that the guides are throwing. So I'm going to finish this off here with, instead of doing my one side to the other routine, I do straight up on top, wind it back, and I got a piece of cream for underneath. Anyway, the point is the guides will throw these giant plugs and just rip them back across the surface. Now this is probably too much material here, so I'll thin it out. Oh, just rip them back towards the ponga. And it's pretty, those rooster fish just try to kill that thing. So this is kind of a toned down version of that idea. It's going to push some water, get their attention, and they'll hopefully just climb on. So you see I'm having a little bit of trouble getting this. I want to have a nicely finished front of this fly, and my thread keeps slipping off. I don't want to go back very far. I just want the tiniest little hint of a head there. So let's see. We'll see how this is working out. You always, keep your fingers crossed. Of course, the more of these flies you tie, see we got a dark back and a light belly. Pretty cool effect. One thing about these wire brushes is that they're just fine in this material. But if you rake that brush across that mono thread, be prepared for to cut it. So that would certainly push some water, but it's it's not how I want this fly to look. So I'm going to pinch it top and bottom, and I'm going to trim this side. Now, what do I not want to cut? I don't want to cut my saddle hackles. So again, I'm pinching top and bottom. Then I'm pinching both sides. And you will notice I'm going to trim it closer underneath the fly than I will on the back. And the idea is there is that even though this this material is fairly light and loose and compressible, I want to see some daylight between the body, the material body under the fly, and the hook point, because I don't want to take the chances that Mr. Rooster grabs this fly and then the body material interferes with the hooking. So we're getting there. Again, we got more bulk on top, and this body material doesn't end right here. It flows back and gives it more of a taper. If you cut this right off, it'd look kind of weird. Fish would probably still bite it, but it wouldn't look as nice. So I'm going to be quiet now, and we may go into fast mode while I do some more trimming here. One thing you don't want to do, which I just did, is I got the hook shank in my scissors. Scissors don't like that. I try to be careful and not do that, but you know, these things happen. So I'm trying to achieve a kind of a taper here in the back, and I'll pull those saddle hackles out of the way, and I'll do some kind of like tapering that material so it's not just so, considering this is a lot smaller than the big plugs the boat captains are throwing, but it's a little bit bigger than some of the kinky muzzlers I've seen tied, I'm feeling pretty good about this fly. So now we're going to put some eyes on it. Would you have to put eyes on it? Not at all. Whoops. One of the fun things about these is that if you're particular, you can trim them and then brush them and trim them some more. The only time you can make a mistake is if you trim off too much, and then you go, oh, why did I do that? Okay, let's get a set of eyes on those. So again, I'll get my 5/16. Could I use a bigger one? I think I like the 5/16. Not too big, not too small. And I'm going to lay these down. Try not to handle them any more than I have to. And I get a nice clean bodkin. And I've got somewhere here, I've got some super glue gel. It's probably right in front of me. Ah, here it is. It is in front of me. So this is the Ultra Gel Control. I'm pretty sure they make a extra ultra or super ultra gel control. And all that is would be a thicker gel. This is pretty good, but it could be just a hair thicker. So again, I'm going to put this dab on the eye, right where it's sitting on the table. Oops, I went to lift it up and it fell right off. See if I had, oh, it didn't fall off. Got a piece of that hair. Technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. Put it right about at the lateral line. There we go. Clean off my bodkin. If you don't clean off your bodkin, what's going to happen is everything will be going fine until you're trying to slide your bodkin out, and it'll be stuck to the eye and the fly. So place it. There we go. Let's see how I did. So this one isn't quite as far back as the other one. Let's see if I can push it a little bit. It's a little bit off, but it's pretty good. So again, you squeeze it gently, but not too hard. Because if you really mash it down, you're going to squeeze that super glue out, and it's going to go around the eye and make them look dull. And now that I've got my eyes on, it winds up compressing the fly just a little bit, so you trim a little bit more. Now I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of UV cure. Now this is a fine flex. There are many UV cures. There's Loon. I think Clear Cure Goo is a goner. There's Deer Creek. There's Solarez. There's Pro Sport Fisher. Point is, many good ones. I don't really have a preference. I found them all to have very good properties. So here we go. This is an all-purpose, I'll call it a Roosterfish fly. I'm quite sure it would work on all kinds of fish, but you know that. Hope you have had fun with this, and I hope you get a chance to get out and go fishing. Thank you.